Hi.
Hi.
I think my breath smells today.
Oh. Of what?
Apparently it's garlicky.
Oh, right. So when you have gum infection, it's the same bacteria that's in your shit, isn't it? Apparently. Something like that.
Wow.
Anyway, today we're...
Seamlessly into the guest.
So today we've got a really exciting guest, haven't we?
We've got a red arrow. A former red arrow. You know, you don't say ex, you say former. That's a polite way to say was once.
Oh, right.
Dennis Taylor told me that.
Wait, you've spoken to Dennis Taylor about the red arrows?
Yeah. He's fucking obsessed by them.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you say former. Like, he told me, because I called him the ex-world snooker champion. He said, you say former. I said, sorry.
So I'm just reading about the red arrows here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, I shouldn't have looked at this bit.
Why?
I just went to incidents and accidents. I thought
Don't.
Be. So,
Jesus,
no,
where?
you obviously think about... Well, that's the first thing I think about, because of what they do.
I don't.
I didn't know if there'd been any. There have been absolutely loads.
The first thing I thought about was the smoke coming out the back. In different colours.
Maybe you shouldn't talk about stuff like that.
No, cut this.
Really? That's the first question I was going to ask. It's dangerous, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I don't know what the etiquette is when you talk to...
No, I don't.
What's the etiquette? That's the first question. What's the etiquette when talking to a red arrow?
That's all I think about when I see them. And I go, well, that's super dangerous.
I didn't go there at all. I think I went with the pageant of it all. Oh, there's Dan here. Dan's here.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I feel I should bow or something. That's it.
I do, curtsy.
Yeah.
How are you, gents?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I am. I've suddenly got really red.
Well, that's
appropriate.
lucky on brand. Thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for having me. It was so when you talked about playing golf designed by Red Arrows Pilots, and I realised that I hated golf, that I thought I had to come on and correct you.
Good enough reason of any to come on the podcast. Put your back up about golfing. No, fair enough.
Where are you? Where are you in the world?
I live in Putney, southwest London.
Oh, I know Putney.
Yeah, lovely Putney.
I used to live in Wandsworth Town.
Oh yeah.
God,
yeah,
that's changed, didn't it, round there?
Yes,
I went there a couple of weeks ago. I lived there for a long time, and I got lost because it's changed so much.
Yes, so much stuff's gone in there.
All the brewery and everything's got like fancy bars in it and everything.
I know. It's not as grungy as it used to be.
No, God,
it used to be cool.
I used to be able to afford to live there.
Yeah.
I'm hating this.
David had a really long conversation with one of our guests about Heathfield.
We had Richard Osman on, and I was talking to him about West Sussex for 40 minutes.
Yeah, and I know nothing about West Sussex.
I suddenly thought about what you must have gone through.
Well, to be fair, I put iPlayer on. I watched a film. They were discussing like where their mums lived and stuff. It was bizarre.
A documentary on West Sussex.
Oh, God.
Honestly, it felt like I was in the making of, but I knew nothing about it. Well, thanks for coming on. We were just talking about what you can and can't ask a red arrow.
Yeah. There were certain questions I want to ask you. I was like, I don't know if that's...
Yes, whatever.
You're a former red arrow.
Yeah, I was a fighter pilot for about 16 years, and then
let's not pass
you
over
don't just
that.
Throw that out there.
Wow! If I said that, I would not have my top on.
Well, it's a natural progression, because if you start at the reds and go the other way, it's
wow.
Yeah,
right.
I have an amazing time. Yeah, ask whatever you want.
How old are you? You look really young.
I'm 37.
Jesus,
you are really young.
Web. So you started being a fighter pilot at what age?
19.
Oh my God, 19. What were you doing at 19?
I joined the RAF at 19. So you go off and you have to become an officer first. I did all that, and then
What does that mean? I don't know it.
what does that mean? I guess it's where they take you in and they change you from a dirty civilian into a military.
What's that?
man.
Yeah,
So-
tell us about that.
It's pretty good. That's I got a bit of a feeling it's a bit different from the army. In the Air Force, it's a bit, it's still the same thing. They bring you in, they take you away from your families, and you kind of put in a barrack block, and it's surprise inspections, all that kind of stuff.
Where was that? Where did you do
the RAF? They've got their place. It's a place called RAF Cranwell in Lincolnshire. It's a beautiful building. In fact, Google it. It's an epic building. And you actually start across the road in this awful little barrack block. That all the pipes, all the plumbing for the building are on the outside of the plasterboard. So you have to, polish it every night.
You have to what?
Yeah, you have to.
I've had such an easy life.
Yeah, well,
Jesus,
it got to a point they used to come in the morning, and inspect your room, and so guys used to sleep, so they didn't have to remake their bed. You used to iron your bed in the morning, so it was immaculate. Guys used to sleep on top of their beds in sleeping bags, so they didn't have to.
Right.
Get up and make
How many in one room?
Not many. It's like 2, and then as you graduate, so it's not like your Hollywood, U.S. Marine Corps style stood at your bed shouting. But they do a bit of that. They kind of just break you down, right? Just to.
Did you cry? Because I imagine on
my first night, I'm sure I did. Yeah,
because I would just be like, I'm just when I'm going to cry. It's not.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was 19, so I remember I just remember getting in the car and driving north. I lived my folks lived in Surrey, but I just drove up the A1, turned off at Cranwell, and then all of a sudden you stood at the gates to this
Honestly,
RAF base.
19, I don't think I'd have had the confidence to even drive to Lincoln.
I was wearing makeup. The big one.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure you guys can relate in some way, but it was just a dream. I think I started telling people when I was about 4 or 5 years old I was going to be a fighter pilot.
Where did that come from?
Wow.
Well, my family had been in it. My dad and my mum had both been in the Air Force, actually, but well before I was born.
But sometimes you kind of rebel against like my mum was a hairdresser.
Is that why you wore makeup?
Well, no, I was never going to be a hairdresser. Just to rebel. Does that make sense?
No.
I was never going to do blue rinses in a tiny village.
It's like looking in the mirror, isn't it, Dan? The parallels.
Yeah.
Jesus.
No, but I'm just saying that sometimes you rebel against your.
Well, my family haven't. I fly. My brother flies. My sister flies. My brother's my sister's a flight attendant with British Airways. My brother's a pilot with EasyJet, soon to go to the Middle East and fly for a big airline out there. So we all did it. We all love it. It's in our blood.
Wow, that's mad.
God,
You've all
just
done
about
it.
all the questions in my head.
Yeah, I know. I'm rattling. I want to hear about the training, and then do you know what I really want to know? When did you first? What? Because I can't get my head around 19. What age did you first fly?
I was 20 when I first flew a first ever airplane. It was 20. Like on the weekend, you see those little white plastic airplanes.
Right. Okay.
That every pilot. So you do this officer training. It's about 6 months. You come out of that as an officer, and then you go into your specialist training. So you become an air traffic controller or an engineer or a pilot, or at any job you want in the Air Force, there's going to be officers that do it as well. And so we go off, did flying training. That took about 5.5 years, 4.5, 5 years.
First time you got in a plane and went in the sky, you were 20.
Yeah, 20. Yeah.
Right. My first thought is, so you climb in, the thing comes down, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Thing. It's a thing.
I'd want to get me out. I'd get claustrophobic. Do any pilots get claustrophobic?
No, not really. I don't think so.
No,
well, if they do, it's game over, really.
Go back to hairdressing, David.
Do you not get claustrophobic when you put the big hair dryers on? And you see them
If anything, that's worse.
I can't imagine being in this sealed thing where I can't. Oh my god!
Yeah, well, it gets a bit worse. But then you get strapped in, so you've got your parachute on, and then you've got your safety harness on, then you've got your G suit on, and then you've got your helmet on.
Sorry, Dad. Is there no point you go, get me out of here?
Only if it's going horribly wrong.
16 years, David. I'm going to guess no.
Yeah, but
If 1 in 4 times he got in, he just went, get me out. Probably. It probably so. I don't.
There
think
are.
it's for
I
you,
tell you
mate.
what, there are lonely moments, I guess, because especially as you go through flying training. I was very lucky. As you go through each course, it's called streaming. So you start on the first course, every pilot together for about 4 or 5 months, and then based off where they need you, how you're progressing in terms of performance, then you can get sent in different streams. So they could send you off to be a fighter pilot, they could send you to be a helicopter pilot, or they could send you to fly essentially cargo planes. Cargo isn't it's not a good way to explain it really, but they kind of carry troops, humanitarian aid around the world, or something else, that kind of stuff. So I kind of went down the fighter pilot route, luckily. And then even at the end of that, they still select you to see if you could fly a jet by yourself. So it's called single seat, so it's just you in the airplane. Or you go to another aircraft that we had that was called a Tornado, which is kind of a little bit like the Top Gun jet, with a pilot in the front and a navigator in the back.
Right.
I went down the road of just flying the jet by myself. So there are some moments there, where you're in these big exercises, especially in North America, there's like 60 jets all around you, all in this massive international exercise. You're there as the Royal Air Force trying to do a job, and you think, I wish I could just press pause and ask someone a question here.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm just
that's where
thinking,
it gets.
walking into a pub or into a nightclub. What are you, cargo pilot? Oh, right. What are you, fighter pilot? Keep talking. Keep talking, sexy.
Can I get you a sherry? No,
Honestly, it's the worst thing you can say. It never works. Never works.
Well, that was our
Never works.
second question. How
Never
much
works.
skirt do you get off the back of being a pilot?
0, unfortunately.
Damn
Not
it.
through lack of trying. Not through
So, Dan, that first time you went in a plane when you were 20, what training did you get to that point
that's
where
a
you
good-
can go
yeah.
up in the sky and do that? And how nervous were you that first time?
well, I don't know. There's a kind of mix with emotion and oh my goodness, it's my dream, and also can I do it? There's that kind of, if this doesn't go well, this is 20 years of wanting to do it.
Yeah.
And there's no one up here. There's this moment when you're up there by yourself when you first ever flight. Your first flight by yourself is only like 5 minutes. And you're up there
On
and
your
you
own,
think-
there's no one with you. Sorry.
So yeah, let me explain. So you get like 6 weeks of going through, technical aspects of the airplane. So how the fuel system works, how the hydraulics work. So you have to actually. It's not like when you get a car, you kind of just go. Yeah, you're expected to know everything about that. So when you come down, you can talk to the engineers about what you need to fix or whatever. Up there when it's going wrong, you know how to deal with the emergencies. If the hydraulics start failing or you're running out of fuel, all that kind of stuff. Then you get probably about 10 trips with an instructor showing you how to take off and land, and they go, right, off you go. And that's it. And you're up there by
it
yourself.
seems like it needs to be more for me. I know it's none of my business, but
It
that does
probably
not-
should have been more for me.
But how do they know when you're ready to do that?
I guess it's just that moment, isn't it? It's like when you let your kid
Oh
go on your
my
bike,
God.
when you take the stabilizers off for the first time. There's a bit of trust in there.
If I went up now on my own, would I crash?
Yeah, you particularly, or one.
If you said, look, do that, when you come down, do that, would I crash?
You probably.
But luckily, he's on his own.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, and that's it. There's this moment when you kind of you're shitting yourself. You take off. There's that moment of euphoria. You're
Are
up
you
there.
really? You're really nervous.
Yeah, unbelievably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even right to the very end. I mean, even 15 years down the line, there's sometimes you take off and your heart's racing. You just you're taking deep breaths, just going, "Come on, mate, calm down." But yeah, and you're up there and you think you have that moment where it comes. You think, "Shit, I have to land this. There's no one else here can land this."
What is it like up there that first time when you're?
Oh, amazing. It's like an outer body experience. You almost, in a way, you're almost above the airplane looking down at yourself flying the airplane, which is a really bizarre way to explain it. But and then it's over. It's over in a heartbeat. You're only up there for 5 minutes and you're taxiing in and that's it done. It's unbelievable.
So that's the dream of yours since 4. You've never flown on your own. So you really don't know whether you're going to get up and go, fuck this. So that was a moment where you go, I've never done it. I'm on my own. You could literally go, no way am I ever doing that again at that point because you haven't.
Yeah, and people do. People do.
Do they?
Really?
Yeah, sometimes. And
Well,
some people.
it's too much for them.
Yeah, and especially as the training goes on, as you get through fighter pilot training, it gets harder and harder, and there's there's less pats on the back is probably the best way to put it. You know, you're getting pushed through your paces because there's a lot of people who want to be there. It's an honor to be there.
Is that so when you start? Sorry, I'm jumping. I've got so many questions. So the two questions I've got is people essentially they start all as pilot, but do most people want to end up being a fighter pilot, but they don't quite have that, so they go into other avenues, or is it like
there's going to be people who
right?
Who shoot me down for it. Right. No, I think it's that's probably the best way to put it. I mean, not many. I think I would have been happy to have flown cargo.
You're better than everyone else.
Well, we're saying that on his behalf, but we can walk away.
Yeah, for the record. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. You don't lose my friends.
You're basically Wayne Rooney.
It is. It's like getting into the top flight. Oh my God. Yeah.
He's nodding for the benefit of listeners. No, he's not nodding.
Yeah, and he's doing a massive thumbs up and a shush. Yeah. The other question I've got, I really want to know, is the stages from. So I've got you in my head in a little white plane. What are the steps, plane wise, to get to? Like the one you said. Am I talking too technical?
Yeah. Can you slow down?
But you know what I mean? Like you've got a little white one.
Yeah, we know what you mean. Get on with
it. Yeah, you do. And that's exactly it. They just get faster and more complex. So you start off in this little white aircraft that you'll see buzzing around, Lincolnshire, and I think they got some up in Yorkshire somewhere. The little bases, really.
Biggin Hill?
Not anymore, but it used to be. Oh. Yeah, used to be, which is a real shame. We used to display at Biggin Hill. That was always a special place.
I grew up near Biggin Hill, so I probably saw you fly over.
And that was like hallowed ground for us, with its history, World War II and all that. Yeah, it's amazing. With the fighter squadrons from the Battle of Britain and Biggin Hill. That's like hallowed turf for an RAF fighter pilot. Yeah, it's amazing.
That's your FA Cup final.
That's us, yeah. That's where we step. Yeah, we love it there.
Oh, lovely.
You do this thing for about 6 months, and then based off your performance, based off whether, you can still ace it, and they just don't have any slots in their fight training world. So there's a bit of luck involved as well. There's a little bit of not just can you fly the airplane, it's down to character as well. It all fits in. And if you pass that, you go onto an aircraft it's called a Tucano. We don't have them anymore, unfortunately, but they kind of look a little bit like a Spitfire is the best way to describe them. So it's just a faster, punchier airplane. And they teach you there to start being more tactical. So I don't know if you've been up to the Lake District, seeing the guys flying low level through the lakes.
Where they suddenly go through the valley.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Have you done all that?
Yeah, that's where you start doing all that. Yeah.
That's where you start doing all that. Oh my God.
Yeah, because by the end of it, when you're flying the big boys right at the end, you're using those mountains to hide from enemy radar. That's why you fly so low, so they can't see you coming.
Oh my God!
Have you experienced that, Joe? When they fly?
No, I haven't been to Lake District. No, I've been.
Pain in the arse as it goes.
We're having a nice dinner and some Wally.
But yeah, there's some areas in the UK that you're cleared, as low as 100 feet. So 100 feet is about 30 meters, and you're doing about target run. You're doing about we fly multiples of 6 because 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour.
But I think that building over there is about 30 metres.
So about that high off the ground, probably doing between 450, 500 miles an hour. So you're shifting.
Okay, none of this makes sense to me.
No, I'm remembering when a plane went through when I was up in the Lake District, just how fast and you were in it.
Yeah, well, we go by when you fly.
And
you
now
go
you're
by
on Chatterbick.
Bit of a bump down to earth, isn't it?
In fact, no. Do you know what? I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you guys this now, actually, and you might cut it out. And if you do, awesome. But I'll tell you why I love your show. Is I've gone from something. I was in the Air Force for 17 years, and the last 3 of that in the Red Arrows, which was amazing. But I turn up every day at 8 o'clock. Let's say, had a coffee. There's a bit of banter. Some guys would drive in, walk in, cycle in. But 8 o'clock every morning, we were always at the coffee machine, having a bit of, banter, ripping into each other. And then you go into a brief, and you do that every day, 3 times a day, every day. You do that.
Yeah, it does your head in.
5 days a week, yeah, does your head in, yeah. and then it
grinds
stops.
you down, doesn't it?
And then it stops, and that's fine. Yeah. You go different ways. And I now live in Putney. I'm not in the Air Force anymore. But, what I love about your show is like, it feels like you're back in that environment. You start to get part of, you recognize the in-jokes coming, or you recognize the banter. And that's why a show like yours, gotta say, guys, I absolutely love it, because it kind of brings back that that kind of feeling of community again. You know, I know you're not part of it, but you'll be in, I don't know, Sainsbury's, and you guys will say something, and you know what's coming next, and you just start laughing out loud. You know? And I love it. And honestly, it takes me back to the days of being on a squadron. You know, where you can have that kind of environment. That's why your show's awesome. I love it a bit.
Are we as sort of manly as well, do you think, or sort of less?
No, but that's fine.
Well, one day I'm going to go to Eastbourne and watch the Red Arrows go across. Say to my grandson, a man very similar to that man respected me once.
I believe he stopped listening round about 2023. He said Series 7 dips for him. And so what's the next? So what happens?
then you
Can I
get a
ask
bit
a
punch it.
question? Sorry,
Okay.
can I ask about the Lake District? And do you mind? When you're going along at that speed so low, are you aware of all this, or are you just completely focused, or is there a part of you going, Jesus Christ?
Yeah, I mean, it's to begin with. Yes, you're going, what on earth is going on here? But then as you get used to it, it gets easier and easier and easier. And I say easier and easier and easier. There's always a level of complexity to it. But I mean, for example, you know, through the Lake District, you fly military aircraft especially, but every airplane really, but especially when you're going low and fast, you fly miles per minute versus miles per hour. So we tend to cruise at 7 miles every minute. And when we're going fast, we're doing about 9 miles every minute. And then when we're going, you know, high level supersonic, you're doing about 13 miles every minute. So you're shifting.
Okay.
So
13.
What are you looking at when you're doing it? What's in front of you when you're going at that speed?
the Lake District rocks. So you kind of looking ahead.
Wait,
So
it's
just
just a blur, isn't it?
yeah, it's fast, but you get used to the speed of it. I guess it's, you know, driving down a country lane versus driving down the motorway, because you're going faster on the motorway. You're looking a bit further ahead of you. It's the same thing.
Right. What's the danger? What could
Danger.
cause like a birds or
Birds are big. Yeah, I've had a bird rip a huge hole in one of my.
But surely
my
that
wings
happens
before.
a lot, doesn't it? Isn't that a huge worry?
Yeah, but you know what? You get used to seeing them, and you can do some type of. You know, sometimes you can avoid them. Sometimes I've had somewhere. You know, you probably had this again driving when you duck. You know, because you're that close.
Yeah.
And I think luckily the bow wave of the aircraft sometimes pushes them over because you're going so fast.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes you take them on the chin. Unfortunately, you know,
I've got
lucky.
a real picture of one of those. Was it a heron with a little baby in a just flying along?
What, with a baby in a basket?
Yeah, yeah,
Looking behind it.
yeah. Don't hit those ones.
Coming.
Yeah, no. Oh my God.
Yeah, they wouldn't do well in them. Yeah, so yeah, you kind of just you're looking ahead. You're thinking, right, where's the target? How late am I? Am I on time? Am I early? You know, who else is trying to get there? For the example, Lake Windermere, which is one of the as you enter the Lake District, that's just like driving in the roads. That's a one-way system for jets. You can only go south to north because it's too narrow. That if there was a jet coming the other way, you haven't really got time to go left and right. And it's a bit of the Wild West out there. There's a certain type of airspace below a certain altitude, so low level, where anyone can be, and there's no air traffic control. So you are looking out the window
Oh my God.
to avoid. So even if there's just a hang glider jumping off the side of a
What
paraglider,
about drones?
yeah, drones are a big problem, big
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Because they're so small, you don't see them till so late. And hitting one of those at 500 miles an hour, I mean, you think you would do better because you're the bigger aircraft, but it would just rip holes in your jet. So you've got to be very careful with those.
If something like that happens, is it if you hit something, I guess you can still fly? I don't, what?
Yeah, all sorts. I mean, I've been, as I say, touch wood, I've been very lucky. You know, I have had one which ripped a hole in the wing, but luckily it didn't take any of the fuel lines
Sorry,
out.
was that a bird that did that?
Yeah. I've had, in fact, again, if you Google the Red Arrows just this year, one of the guys hit a bird up in...
I just saw that, yeah.
Yeah, in Llandudno, I think it was, or somewhere in Wales. And it ripped the whole canopy off. So he's now flying at 400 miles an hour with no windscreen, essentially. And he managed to bring it back. Yeah, super lucky. And in fact, his one was quite nerve-wracking because you have a certain... If you ever look at the glass, the canopy around the pilot's head, you can see these wiggles in it. And that's actually dynamite, essentially. So if you ever need to eject, we can pull a handle, the glass explodes, and there's a rocket in your seat that fires you out.
Okay.
So you're not with the jet.
Have you done training for that?
Honestly,
But is there a way of like preparing yourself?
you have to go to the gym and they put you on a table and you have to jump onto the floor to practice your landing technique, and that is it.
So
Do you know anyone who's had to do that?
Yeah, a couple, unfortunately.
What-
Yeah, I mean,
Have
and
they
they've made
explained
it.
what it was like?
were they okay?
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah. There's they're a little bit shorter because it actually compresses your spine because it's about
Are you
30,
joking?
40. No. Some guys have lost about an inch of height through the compression of the ejection.
What does that feel? The pressure. What?
Yeah.
Oh,
The thing
so-
is, right, in that moment that you're pulling that handle, it's to save your life. So it's not a normal occurrence. You're not going to just, I'll give this a go. It's if I don't pull this handle, that my day in the office means that I'm not going home. So you have to pull it.
And have you spoken to them about it?
Yeah, I mean, I've flown with alongside guys. I haven't seen people eject, but I've flown with guys who have ejected. It's called ejecting, and then come back.
And what did they say? What's the?
Well, first off, I think it's that shock of it happening. There's that initial thought of could I've avoided it? Then you realise actually the system probably let you down. It's because it's inherently dangerous, and these things can fail. It's only like a car breaking down, but you've got to deal with it when you're going fast. So. Yeah, they said that moment of decision is almost like pure clarity. I have to do this. That moment of this is going to happen, so I have to go. Pull the handle. A lot of the guys say they've actually passed out because of the force of gravity. You just can't really stay conscious with it because it drags all the. And this is another thing when you're flying. When you go around the corners, you're pulling so much G, it actually drains the blood from your head. So you have to squeeze to stay conscious. So I'll explain that in a moment. But yeah, they kind of lose consciousness, and the next minute they've even found themselves in a parachute. It's all happened so quickly they've woken up on the ground.
Oh well, that's insane.
So when you're ejected, what part lifts out
So
the
the seat
plane?
goes. So when you actually get in, you strap into a seat. Like you if you imagine getting in a car, putting your seatbelt on. Imagine if you get out of the car with a button, the seat would go, and then the seat actually the I guess the shell of the seat falls away, and your parachute's built into the back of your seat. It looks like a cushion when you get on it, but that's actually a parachute. So when you're bolted into or strapped into the seat, these bolts separate, and you go out in the seat. Massive rocket takes you up about 250 feet above the airplane. That'll fall away, and then parachute opens, and you come down safely.
It's a
So
hell
the
of a bit.
parachute automatically opens. So the guys that
Yeah, when they
Lost.
pass out, they.
they pass out, and that's okay.
Yeah, the system's amazing. In fact, it's our seats are all built in. You might have heard of Martin Baker. They're very famous. They're in Denham, I think, and they build ejection seats for air forces all around the world. And if you have a little look on their website, I think they've saved 7,000 lives in the history of their company over the decades. The amount of lives owed to this. In fact, you should go back and have a look at I think it's the 50s or the 60s when they started demoing, when we didn't have crash test dummies. They literally just had people and would fire them out of aeroplanes to see if it worked or not.
God, who signs up for that?
I don't know, but I hope it's
Very
not big
short,
house now.
very short people at the end of it.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Bloody Nora.
Yeah.
God, I've got a
Yeah,
bit-
so that's that.
God, I've done my head in. Sorry, I'm like, I'm just imagining.
I really want to know just what it feels like, because I'm never going to do it. I just wonder what it feels like to be out there going at that speed. And
There are moments when it's awesome. There are moments because you can go up to about 55,000 feet. So you can start to see the curvature of the earth, and you're kind of up there by yourself, and it all starts to get milky isn't the word, but it looks a bit inky, that kind of dark ink as it starts spilling around. And you're just up there by yourself, and you just think, this is mad. This is absolutely mad.
Sorry, is it weird when
I've
you've
got
just
a
done
really
that?
good question coming, by the way.
Mine isn't good, so we'll cut
Right,
this
mine's
out.
good, so beware.
Is it weird after you've done that and then you're driving home and no one
It's
knows?
the worst. It's the worst thing in the world.
Is it?
Well, it's not. It's not that no one knows. I think when you're young and you're kind of going through, you kind of like going home in your flying suit, and then you realise you just look like a bit of a knob. So you start getting changed at work. So you think sometimes you think, oh, it's dark, I can get away with this, or sometimes you think, oh shit, I've got to get some fuel. So you get changed, so you don't get caught at the petrol station in your flying suit looking like absolutely. There's nothing worse.
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't take mine off.
Yeah, or there's the when you first get going, in nightclub, you're talking to a girl and she doesn't believe you, so you get like your ID card out.
Yeah,
God.
that's less sexy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sexy.
Yeah. I'm starting to be with her on that one.
We've
All
all
right,
been there.
All right, mate. Put your card away.
I like a Chatterbix card.
No one believes you. No one believes you. And not having to say, he stuffs. That we used to say we built those. Those hares that they chase around the greyhound tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more believable. It turns out. he stuffs them and I sew them up. And girls love that. All the red and white stripes. I mean, the famous one, but red and white stripes at the lighthouses. He does the red, I do the white. They love that one. And the other one is we design fireworks. That one goes down well. But we used to say, we'd be on a Friday or a Saturday night in the town, say, oh yeah, we're here. There's a massive fireworks display on Sunday. We're setting it up.
Oh, nice.
And the amount of people that have probably stayed an extra couple of hours in the town after a night out to watch a fireworks never happened. Anyway,
What's your excellent question?
Hang on, I'm just wondering whether to ask.
What was
When
the
you're
hang-
up there, you're on your Todd, and you said you can see the curvature of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
What would happen? I don't know what I'm going on about. If you just went fuck it, and you just thought I'm just going to keep going up, what would happen, and at what point would that happen?
I don't know what point, but essentially the air would get so thin that your engines wouldn't be able to turn anymore. So your engines would flame out, essentially. We were only allowed to 55,000 feet, but the jet, I think, could go a lot higher than that. The jet could probably go to about 70 odd. So, an airliner, when you're racing around Europe, you're probably about 35, 36, maybe even 40. So
What were you? What did
we're
you
at
fly?
55 just normally. So we're about another 20,000 feet on what you'd be in an airliner. And I've seen a picture of someone, clearly because the rules are the rules. It's the video cut off at 55,000 feet, but he was going some, and he was pointing pretty vertically. So I could imagine they'd gone quite high. But the thing, right, when you get up there, there's a couple of issues. If you need to eject, there's no oxygen up there, so it doesn't matter about the parachute. You've got no oxygen, so you parachute, you'll be dead by the time you come down. So they've got these oxygen bottles in your seat just to kind of keep you alive for a little bit should you have to get out the airplane and come down. And also, if the canopy popped off, because of the altitude and the way in which obviously water boils at a lower temperature the higher you go, if the canopy popped off, then your blood will start boiling under your skin. So there's only a certain limit that you can actually go. So there's no point actually being much higher, because it's just the risk versus reward is the wrong way around.
Don't do it,
Don't do it. No,
David.
there's no
Don't
point.
do it.
And actually, do you know what? It sounds great. It's actually boring up there. It's more fun low level
Is it?
because and you want to be racing through the Lake District. Going around all the mountains and looking at people on the boats waving. And yes, it's better down low than that. And that's the other thing, right? For those people in the Lake District, you can see them race fast. We can see you, so wave at them. You can see people waving, even though you're going fast. You can
Give you the bloody
it's amazing.
bird, mate. We're trying on the wall.
See that as well, don't you?
Yeah.
You can see, really? You can see?
Yeah, you can see people. Yeah, massively. People in Wales actually go up on this hill in Machynlleth. And there's there's this loop that the jets fly around, and the guys go up there in the morning and put these big banners on the side of the hill, so we fly next to them so they can take pictures.
Really?
Yeah.
Hello, Chatter Biscuits and Chatter Biscuits with nuts, etc. If you're enjoying this podcast, you need to get on our Patreon. You will get early access to ad-free episodes. There'll be videos and behind-the-scenes sneaky pics. It's basically a place where we all hang out together. And also, you'll be given instant access to our Discord community, which is a friendly place where Chatter Biscuits share stuff and talk to one another. It's like a nice Twitter, basically. So just go to patreon.com/chatterbix. Also, Patreon is also an app you can download onto your phone. All for the price of a coffee. Once a month, you pay a few quid, and you become a VIP Chatter Biscuit. That's what you like. Sign up at patreon.com/chatterbix. The link is in the description of this episode. There, done. Do you know what? There's over 1,000. We've got over 1,000 patrons at the moment.
Patreon, give it to me. Patreon, I need it, girl. Patreon, give it to me. Patreon, I need it, girl. Give it to me. Wow. Patreon, I need it, girl. Patreon.
Sorry, can I go back to the? I want to know the progression of the.
Yep. So we're on the one that looks a bit like a Spitfire.
Yeah.
Fly that up in. It used to be a beautiful place near York that we used to fly that, but they've got rid of that aircraft now, unfortunately. And then you go on to the Hawk. The Hawk is the same airplane that the Red Arrows fly. It's your first ever jet. And what's cool about that is the first time you've had a jet engine. So I didn't really think about this until day one, but you normally had a big propeller in front of your face, and then all of a sudden you've got nothing, and you're just getting pushed. And it's awesome. So anyway, you go to your first jet, and that's the first time you've got a proper jet. You've got your big helmet with your oxygen mask on. You've got your G pants. So these pants that inflate. So as you go around the corner, because you're pulling G, we're currently sat here at 1. When you go around the corner at that fast, so you actually turn, you're pulling about 4, 5, sometimes up to 6, 7 G. So that's 7 times force gravity. So a human head, no matter body disposition, human head weighs about a stone. Right, so around the corner, your heads weigh about 8, 9 stone. So you got a lot of force on your neck, and because of that, a lot of the blood's being dragged out of your brain, out of your head, and down into your lower body, because obviously it's getting dragged away. So you start to lose your vision first. Well, you lose colour first because your blood starts losing. Your eyes start losing the blood.
You lose colour. What does that look like? Everything goes what?
Yeah, it looks great. It's like looking at an old movie. It starts to go like grey and black. Yeah, everything. You lose colour first, and then you start to lose, and then you get tunnel vision. So essentially, it then looks like you're in binoculars, but well, not really looking very far. It's just you start to lose your vision, and then eventually it goes, and then you're conscious, but you can't see, and eventually you black out. And unfortunately, that has caught people out before. So when you turn, you have to crunch up basically all your muscles to keep the blood in the right place so that you don't pass out. And then these pants that they give you, they inflate and they kind of squeeze your legs so that it gives you that extra thing to squeeze against so your blood stays in your head and you don't pass out.
Bloody hell, you got that going on while steering.
What's steering?
Yeah. Is it called steering? I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, I guess you can call it steering. It's turning.
I'm looking at a Hawk now. I've just Googled a Hawk jet.
Yeah, it's that
they're
one.
quite small. They're the one behind you.
Yeah, they're really small. But I mean, when you get there, I was 23 when I got to those, and you kind of walk out to those, and they are small, but still, it's your first jet.
Yeah.
You think, oh my goodness.
How long do you fly those for?
For about 18 months. And they teach you to fly a jet for about, actually probably a bit less. So they teach you to fly a jet for about 10 months to a year. And you're just kind of learning all the dynamics of it. And then you go to this final squadron for 4 months. And this is the final stage of fighter pilot training. And that's where they teach you finally to fight an airplane. So at all this point, you've been taught to be a pilot. And now it's like, right, guys, flying airplanes is assumed. Now it's about learning to use it as a system. So this is about getting in low. This is about getting to targets. It's about getting out. This is about not being shot down. It's about looking after yourself. So that's where you first learn to dogfight. So you go up with other jets.
What's dogfighting?
Kind of what you saw in Battle of Britain. Really, it's two jets up against each other trying to shoot each other down. So getting in behind each other, scrapping, and kind of rolling around each other, and it's just like an aerial battle, really. And it's he who gets the shot first wins.
How do you train for that? Well, do you have like?
You go up with an instructor. So you got a student in the front, instructor in the back, and you go through all the theory on the ground for a week or so, and then they go up and they just make it. It's very dynamic, but they make it very canned. It's very set procedure. We just go out. It's over Anglesey actually. So all the jets flight pilot training at that stage is at Anglesey, just near Holyhead. There's a little base there called Valley. The most beautiful place in the world. But we used to go out over the Irish Sea, really, or down into the Clym Peninsula, and you'd get to about 5,000 feet or 15,000 feet. Really, you weren't allowed below 5,000. You'd simulate the ground being 5,000, and that was it. You go right, you go left, I go right, meet you in the middle, and you meet head on. Probably both doing about 400 miles an hour. So you pass each other head on, and then it's like, right, here we go, and it's a duel, and he who gets the shot first.
And do you have like some way of how do you know if you would have hit each other?
So you've got these missiles on the wing, and the tone. So you've got these heat-seeking missiles. So essentially, on the front of it, there's a sensor looking for heat, and as soon as it sees heat in your headphones, you get like a boop, 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 boop. So like, right, I've got it. And as soon as you hear that tone, I can take a shot. Well, you take a shot and away it goes. But it doesn't leave. And what it does is the it's like got an SD card in it, right? So you take the shot. When we come down, we take the SD cards out the back of the jet, put them in the computer, and then we get like a GPS view of where we were, where they were, and it works out if it would have been, if you're dead or alive. Yeah, in fact, when you get shot down, it puts a little coffin around you, which is a bit disappointing.
Oh my god!
So
you do that, and then by the end of it, the end of that, it's you and another mate. You take a jet, or you take 2 jets out of Anglesey. You have to get to the south of Wales, all low level. You're not speaking to each other. You're doing things with like hand movements and wing flashes to mean turn this way, turn that way. It's kind of a fighter pilot sign language, if you like. You very rarely make a radio call. And whilst you're doing that, there's some instructors in other jets who are chasing you down to try and stop you from getting to the target. So you'll be, racing down through Wales at 250 feet, probably that's about 70 meters, about 450 miles an hour. And then all of a sudden, out the corner of your eye, you think, right, life's good. We're on time. We're on target. This is going to be awesome. Corner of your eye, you just see this jet racing in. And all of a sudden at low level, you've got to then come off route, counter him, make sure that he doesn't shoot you down, shoot him down. And then after all this chaos, you're going, right, where are we? Which sounds ridiculous because your head's out most of the time.
Oh, so you're just you got doing
Racing
whatever,
around.
and then if you got through it, you go, where the hell am I?
Right. Yeah. Now I've got to get to the target on time. Can't just give
Oh
up.
my god!
So then you're like, right, well, I'm here. Your thumb, by the way, on a RAF map is about 7 miles. So you can work out straight away. If you can look at the ground, look at your map, work out where you are, go, right. That's about 20 miles, so that's 3 minutes or whatever it might be. I've got enough fuel, right, let's go hit the target and come home.
Bloody hell! And then, so if you do all this, do you say for 18 months? Then what's
That's about 18 months, yeah.
And at the end of that, they then go, okay, you're this good, or you can progress, or what? Is it literally
Or
someone?
you're done.
Or you're done. Oh, you're done.
You can get done. You can get done after 4.5 years. You can be done pretty much in a week. You could turn up, have a bad Monday morning. They'll have a little chat with you Tuesday, say, hey, look, what went wrong? Let's go. I mean, and they give you every opportunity to succeed, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. Wow. So Tuesday, you'll go back up again with an instructor, try it again. Hopefully that goes well. If it doesn't, they might give you Wednesday off. They'll give you another check ride Thursday, and you go, okay, right, let's go and practice it again. Check ride Friday. If that doesn't go well, you could be packing the van over the
And
weekend.
did you see that happen?
Yeah, you're right at the end for some guys. Yeah,
Sorry, how many years is that?
and that would have taken 4.5, 5.
And what? And so for that person, what? They can still fly. Obviously, they just can't,
They'll go off and do other stuff. Yeah,
they
they'll
just
maybe
can't
go
be,
fly helicopters. You just can't fly fighters, which is a shame because by that point,
Basically, you are the Diodora.
But by that point, they've invested. It's there. It's the dream.
Heartbreaking.
And you just see them and they're gone. Yeah, gone in a heartbeat, and you just think, it's so sad.
And what percentage?
But for the rest of us,
yeah. What?
No, I don't know. People ask me that all the time. I don't know how many people apply in a year, but I graduated on a course of 7, and I would imagine there'd be thousands of people apply to be a fighter pilot every year. I reckon probably 5 to 6 courses graduate a year.
Dan,
so there's probably
what's so good about you? No, genuinely, how are you good at it?
Well, I don't know I think because I love it. I think if you love something, then it just becomes a lot easier. Doesn't it?
But you luckily had something in the DNA as well.
There's something in the DNA as well. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I went through every course, and every course is a little bit. Do you remember? I don't know if you guys ever did like the Scouts or anything like that.
Oh, did the Cubs? Scouts.
They give you badges. They give you badges. The military's the same. We get very territorial and proud about what Velcro badges were awarded. And at the end of every course, it's a bit bizarre that 23 fighter pilot train, they're still handing out awards at the end of every course. Like most improved and all this sorts of stuff.
Best at making a bonfire.
I didn't win anything. At every course, someone won the best pilot or the best at aerobatics, the best at formation, the best at low-level bombing, all this kind of stuff. And I never won anything. However, the one thing I am very proud of is that when I finished training, there's one award that I didn't even know existed, but it was who the instructors would most want to go to war with. And I was very lucky. I was awarded that one. So I never got anything off my pure piloting ability. So maybe it's a bit deeper than just being able to fly airplanes. I think it's about kind of just being there and what it's all about, encompassing the spirit of all, I think.
And did you have a moment where there was a wobble for you? Like, I'm just thinking of all. To I'm totally honest, I'm thinking of like all the documentaries I've seen about footballers or whatever, and they all have a moment. All footballers have a moment where something doesn't work out. Did you have a point where you're like, "Oh God, this might not work out"?
Yeah, loads, all the time. And I think actually, in a weird way, that's probably why I did okay. You talk about some of those guys who failed quite quickly and left. They probably hadn't failed anything for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Whereas I managed to fuck something up at every stage. I managed to find something to fail on at every stage. So I got used to failing quite early. And I think that would probably help me out because you think, oh, well, I'm still here. They haven't got rid of me. Whereas people feared the failure the whole way through. That when it actually happened, they just crumbled. Whereas I think it's quite important to embrace that failure as early as you can. And, I guess it's funny now to talk about it. It didn't feel funny at the time. When you're the only one fucking up. I remember once I went on a trip. I went on one trip and I got lost and I had to scare traffic to get me home. I had no idea where I thought, this probably isn't for me.
Where were you?
Probably
Whereabouts were you?
He had no idea.
I was very lucky, actually. I very nearly flew into Luton's airport, which would have been a real bad day out. But around Cambridge, really. I just looked down and I thought, this looks nothing like my map. and there's this awful moment where you got to get on the radio and say, can you...
I can see... What can you see, Dan? I can see
a giraffe.
See wildebeest. You are not in the UK.
Yeah.
But and there's also, there's moments I was very lucky, early teens, 2013. Now finished training. I'd been on an actual proper squadron for about 4 years, and I got selected to go. We call it the weapons school, but I mean it is essentially colloquially Top Gun, I guess. But I got selected to go to our Top Gun school. We call it the Qualified Weapons Instructor course, which is like 7 months. And there was times on there going back to that dip in form that I don't know if it's because we were getting pushed at such a high pace or what, but I was waking up in the morning going, I used to be good at this, and now I just everything seems to like crumble. It's like when you're holding sand in your hand, it's just kind of going through the gaps in your fingers. I used to be
feeling
right.
the pressure? Was it stressful?
Big time. Oh,
Yeah.
huge.
It's like getting into the Indian squad or something, where you kind of go,
well, that course, now you've made it to a frontline squadron. There's now 5 or 6, fighter squadrons.
The very best.
Of the very best, and there's 15 to 20 guys on every squadron. There's 4 in the UK. There's 4. UK. May I correct myself? 4 in England, 4 in Scotland, and out of all of those squadrons, 2 or 4 guys get selected every year to go to this weapons school.
wow.
So and it's awesome. You get brought back. You get taught to be the best in every aspect of that aircraft. Whether it's dropping bombs or shooting missiles, dogfighting, or if it's reconnaissance, whatever it might be. And then you go back to the squadron as like the subject matter expert in everything that aircraft does, to the point that you're writing the tactics for whatever might come up, or you're teaching the new bosses that come in, or you're teaching the new wingmen. You're in charge of basically holding up the standards of making sure that squadron is tactically sound to go wherever in the world at any moment and come back. So,
at what point, how many points in your training do you stop and go, like, if I get to bit, what could be the repercussions of my actions? Or do you know what I mean? If you go off, do you ever get to stop and go, oh my God, the responsibility I've got? And
no, it's huge. Yeah. I mean, you've got a 25-year-old person joining the squadron who, they're wet behind the ears. I mean, I remember the first time. I took off, went on this. It was only in the UK, a mission, but we took off. We went out and over the North Sea, and there was a big tanker, like a big airliner flying around with hose pipes hanging out the back, and you got to plug into it to get more fuel in the sky and then go off and do your mission. And I remember just having a shocker, and I landed and I lay in bed that night, and this was like my second day on the squadron. I thought, no, gone too far now. This is it. Just tap out before it gets too late. So, you roll on 4 or 5 years later when you're now the weapons guy on the squadron teaching all you guys, and that you have to remember that, because, these guys are up there by themselves. There's no one helping them out, and it's a dangerous job. Sometimes people don't come home. You've got to make sure that these guys do, and it's within your power to make sure that they can.
And these guys got families and children.
Yeah.
Is there a sort of is there because of that pressure? Is there like only a certain amount of time you're allowed to do it for? Because
No, not actually being a fighter pilot. You can be a fighter pilot right through to your 55. Really, it doesn't really change. And a lot of people say, but what about your reaction time? Because people have this mindset that as a fighter pilot, you've got quick reactions. That's true, but as you get older, if your reactions do actually slow down, maybe they don't in that environment, but your experience grows. So you can read a situation so much quicker than someone else. When we're flying, when we're pushing it up in an aerial battle, practicing in North Sea, we're thinking maybe 100, 150 miles ahead of where we are. And these guys see that. So when you're young and you're new, you're thinking, right, what's happening in the next 2 minutes? And you're looking at the brick wall in front of you. These guys are 200 miles down the road. So, they're not having to react as quick because they've already seen it. They know what's coming.
Yeah.
So, you can do that. But, when you go to someone like the Red Arrows, you're only allowed to be there 3 years because you get so used to the danger of it, you become dangerous.
Okay.
Because things are moving around you. When you get there, you think, oh my God, I'm going to die. That's that initial feeling of that fear. Like kind of dry mouth, tight chest, that kind of, what am I doing here?
why is the Red Arrows so dangerous? What do you mean? Because
they're not dangerous. It's it's an abnormal. It's an abnormal environment to be in. So because all of a sudden you're really close to each other. You're about 11 feet from each other.
Oh my God!
And you're upside down. Yeah. Sometimes close in cloud, a bit closer. Yeah, you wouldn't want to come much closer than about 7. But yeah, you're about 11 feet from each other.
It's so weird.
Down.
It's so weird because I say I grew up near Biggin Hill. I saw the Red Arrows a few times, and you're not blasé about it, but you sort of see it and you go, "Oh, they're close to ever," but you don't go, "That's mental." When you're a kid, you go, "That's cool, isn't it?" And then
what is mental about it is those jets. So the jet I flew in my final year it first flew in the Air Force in the mid 70s. So they're not new and they haven't got any automation on them. It's almost like the go-kart of the jet world. So, when they are that close, there's no automatics going on. That is just pure hand and stick and eye coordination, just making sure, the power's on at the right time. And you can imagine how bumpy it sometimes gets. You just got to ride those out and just hope that it all goes well through the training. But yeah, you get used to it being, I remember one show, I think it was, Cleethorpes. It was a beautiful evening display, and this is an example why I think it was like my second year, and we're doing a loop or something, and I remember thinking, I've got something like 3 chicken breasts in the fridge, of which they're all gonna go out of date tonight, and I only want one, and I don't really want to have to cook all 3, and then you think, mate, what are you doing? Get back in the show.
Are there any moments where you go,
big time. Yeah, big time. And that's why they move you. So you do 1 year in one position, next year you move to the next position, next move, because then you constantly, there's that element of fear and self-preservation still within you, because it's an awful word, but you get complacent. It's like driving a car, right? You remember when you start to learn to drive a car and how you drive one now? I
hate that moment when you're driving a car and you go, I don't remember driving that bit of the motorway.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about dinner. Or whatever,
honestly, it's no different. At the busy moments, of course, you're fully engaged. But there are moments when you think, I am doing 400 miles an hour here, thinking about what I'm having for dinner. Yeah, it's a bit. Odd.
When you did the Red Arrows, what do you do? How do you kind of go, right, we're going to be in a diamond or whatever?
Yeah. Well, you start off just basically in 1s and 2s. So. The big picture is you have a box. We give each other what we call a box of airspace around each other. So let's say it's about 4 feet forward, back, left, right, up and down, because it's a 3D space. Probably a little bit more to begin with, to be fair. But you just let the new guys go up. So Red 1, who leads the formation, will take maybe Red 2 and Red 3, who are the guys right next to him, up. Maybe with a couple of old Red Arrow guys in the back, just to say, look, this is how you loot, this is how you roll. Now, these guys are experienced fighter pilots. They've probably taken between 10 and 12 years to get to the point of being eligible to be in the team. You have to have been a fighter pilot for quite a while before you're anywhere close to it. So they've understood how to fly airplanes, but this is just different now. It's so different because the airplane feels different. The commands are different. It sounds ridiculous, but even when you're looking next to the guy next to you, for the first couple of trips, you're 11 feet off a Red Arrow's wing.
You're looking at one another. Just winking at one another.
Playing in, though.
Yeah. It used to be, actually, it was the first one to get the bird up after takeoff. One. Yeah. But you used to pay quizzes. If we used to get, from one country to another, it used to be my job to have to do like a quiz. Yeah. Used to have Red Nines quiz. So we have 2 radios, one for air traffic, the other one, inter-team. So I used to have to take a quiz up with me, and I used to kind of grip the stick with my knees and read out a little quiz on my iPad and have a little knockout system.
I'll be honest with you, when I wrote that question down, I just thought, it'd be a bit of fun, just asking if they'd sort of chill out up there. Oh, they do chill out.
I didn't think you'd be looking at your iPad.
No, not on the show.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's for the more mundane trips. That's just the commute. When you're going A to B.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's a method in the madness there. It keeps guys sharp
Yeah.
because, as you say, it's easy for your mind to wander when you just
Yeah.
when you're up there just boring in a straight line, but you're used to being low to the ground doing loops and rolls.
So did you say 4 years in the Red Arrows and then that's it?
I did 3 and a half for me. But yeah, so you kind of move position, and then eventually it's like, well, you fall off the back. That's it. You're done. You're out. So there's guys that have done longer. Unfortunately, we've had a few accidents, or the team had a few accidents, or one of the guys broke his knee playing football, so he can't fly. So there's guys who will stay on and help us out, but essentially it's it. You kind of classic tour as 3 years, one in each place, and that's it, done. And you've waited 15 years to get there.
And so when it's done, how do you feel then? Have you got it out of your system, or are you sort of
No, I don't
still
think you
yearning
get
for?
never get out your system.
Really?
No.
Yeah, there's this big dinner. This is the worst bit, actually. There's this big dinner to honour the guys leaving and to welcome the guys coming in. And at midnight, officially, the team has changed. And at midnight, you get kicked out all the WhatsApp groups. That's the worst bit. You wake up in the morning and Red One's kicked you out of the Red Arrows WhatsApp group. That's a bit of a
Oh my
a
God.
bit of a low moment. Yeah. But apart from that, it's all good. But then you get added into the Red Arrows WhatsApp group. So the world turns on WhatsApp.
But having retired, do you miss that? The thrill of-
Yeah. I mean, I still fly. I fly
Okay.
Oh, yeah, what-
professionally. So I fly I fly for a family now. I fly a private jet for a family.
Oh, right.
So I was fortunate enough to go in a private jet this year.
Yeah.
We
How was
flew
it?
from Biggin Hill to. You might have flown me. By the way, lovely cheese bagel.
You guys hang out a lot. You guys hang out at Biggin Hill a lot.
We're big
But I
enough.
went for. I
We'll do a
went from Biggin
40-minute
Hill
section on Biggin Hill.
I'd happily.
I
do
went
that.
from Biggin Hill to Norway. I'd
Yeah.
never been in one before, and I felt like I was just in like a tiny little car, like a little
Yeah.
micro go. I
Yeah, some
found
of them
it
come
quite
from that.
disturbing.
Yeah. The
It's
small
really
ones.
quick and really small.
I flew on a small one once and I didn't like it. No, I like it. I
It's a
fly quite.
four-seater.
Well, I fly a 13, so it's a bit bigger, but it's quite good. I mean, we would go to Singapore from London, so it's a fairly significant jet. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's a long
it's really,
way.
really cool.
That's
yeah,
a-
long way. Yeah, long way. It's about we could fly same length as any airliner and probably
Oh.
a bit faster. Yeah, it's amazing.
How does it? Sorry, I'm now interested in that. So, if you got a private jet, how does it work with? Obviously, because airspace. And everything, how can you just?
Yeah.
How can you
Well, you just fit in with an airliner. It's like anyone. Yeah, we'll land at like Luton, for example, or Farnborough, or well, we don't, but you could land at Heathrow and you just kind of take off after the big guys and just get above them. You kind of have to go up slowly, kind of fit in with them like a traffic jam. And then when they all kind of level out because they're too heavy, then we nip up and away we go.
I've got a question for you, Dan. Very strange thing happened when we flew over to Norway. My son said, what's that over there? I'm like, "Oh," and then everyone sort of looked over, what's that? We asked the pilot, he got very shifty. We saw this very strange black smoke high up in the sky. And my son thinks it was an alien or something. What was it?
Are there aliens? We've been
Or is
building
it just,
up to
or
this.
is that what the smoke looks like when you're high? Yo, he's getting
Yeah.
shifty
Oh,
now.
hello.
They're all
No,
getting
your internet's
shifty.
not going down, Dan. Answer the question. Are you an alien?
Honestly, it's really peculiar. It's like this jet black smoke in
That
the
is odd.
distance.
I've probably not
Oh,
seen jet black smoke in the air before.
Okay.
Sorry. I
On a,
can't-
Well,
on a
answer the question
similar,
then.
can I ask one of the questions? How do you make the stuff at the back go blue?
Yes. What a super question.
Stuff at the black go blue.
You know, when you're
You're a red
out-
arrow, mate.
Oh,
Have you never looked behind you? When you're going along,
Right, I was like, what?
when you're going along, loads of blue stuff comes out the back.
Loads of blue stuff comes out the back.
What a way to find out after 17 years.
What amazed me? Yeah, God, that's a good question.
Yeah, what do you do? How'd you get it to come out?
You got it. So on your control column, the way you fire the jet, you got three buttons. One is for red, one's white, and one's blue.
Oh, really?
And you got yeah, and that's it. And then you got a little.
I love
you
how
got a little,
sophisticated it is. You just
and
go...
then on your yeah. It's easier said than done, by the way.
Oh, is it? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he's asked for blue before, and I put on red, which went down horribly.
There's two reds
yeah,
up
you got,
there, Mum.
Yeah. But you got red, white, and blue. So if you ever look at a Red Arrows jet, underneath the middle of it, there's like a pod, and that's got diesel and dye, and that mixes. And then essentially, what happens is you press a little button in the cockpit, and it actions that comes out, and then it mixes either red or blue dye into the flow, and then as it gets dripped into the efflux of the jet engine, it blooms into smoke. And that's how you get the red, white, and blue. But there's 5 minutes of white, 1 minute of blue, 1 minute of red. So you have to be super careful. Yeah. So when he's telling you turn it on and off, you have to be on it, because you could be a show's about 25 minutes long.
Yeah.
And you've only got 5 minutes of smoke.
I have always wondered why you didn't keep it on the whole time. I'd be like, come on, lads.
There's not a lot left. And in fact, bless us, it'll be for the king now. But when we used to fly past over Buckingham Palace for Her Majesty, what we used to do is, if you ever see, there's a little big square underneath. It's not normally there, but there's a big square bit of metal under the airplane. If you zoom into a picture over the Queen, and basically it's an air brake. So in the sky, obviously, because you haven't got brakes, because you're not touching the ground, you've got big bits of metal that kind of come out into the airflow. If you're driving and you put your hand sideways and it blows your hand back.
Yeah.
Basically got big bits of metal that come out into the airflow, and that's what actually slows the airplane down in the sky, because it's pushing against the air. So what we used to do is put those out so we'd be slow, and put loads of power on so we were still going the same speed. So now the engine's burning really hot, and then you dump the smoke into that so you get really thick, beautiful blue.
Right.
So she got the good stuff. She got the
She
good stuff.
she got the good stuff.
then
So whenever it's for the Queen.
And then sometimes when you went down to Biggin Hill, you didn't have quite enough, did you? They would only get 30 seconds. I was timing.
There have been some awful moments where you put it on and nothing comes out, and there's either you've either not counted it properly or whatever, but you're the one. And this is the thing, right? When you get into a team like that, this is the one thing about, you got up every day and people, was it dangerous? You scared? And the one thing you were petrified of was being the one guy who would mess it up for everyone else.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You were the one guy who went left when everyone went right, or you were the one guy who thought we were doing a roll when we were doing a loop. Or you were the one person who put the wrong colour smoke on as we went over the Queen in front of how many people stood on the map. That was, you lived in fear every day. You didn't ever think, I'm not going to come back from this. This is dangerous. You thought, do not be the only one to get it wrong. Yeah. That lived on your shoulder the whole time. Oh my God.
Can I ask one last question? Would you mind?
Please do.
Did you say your brother flies for EasyJet?
Yeah, he does, yeah.
How safe are aeroplanes?
Incredibly safe.
Oh, thank God for that, David.
No, I find it like, how are they?
Have you got...
Well, that's a very different question, but they're not in terms of how. Inherently very dangerous.
Are they really? Are they?
No, he said
not being on the ground.
Yeah,
I mean, when you think about them, when you think about how nuts they are, this is why I love it. I love flying. I mean, especially when you go to Heathrow or something, when you see those massive airplanes, they've got 300 people on them. Everyone's got a couple bags. Everyone's got movies and food and booze. They're all going somewhere. And just in those wings is enough fuel to pick them all, and in those engines is enough thrust, and those wings enough lift to just pick them all up off the ground and just fly them across the world. I just find it nuts.
Yeah.
And Dan, when you get on a plane and go on holiday, are you cool as a cucumber? I just want to know that you are so chilled.
No, A, I find it super boring. I hate sitting down the back, and B, I used to be cool with it, but now every kind of like moan and creak and groan, like, what's that?
Oh, no.
So even you think that? Fuck it.
I'll play the plane.
You just want to scare yourself and me.
No, I spoke to a pilot once at my son's cricket training. He told me he was a passenger pilot. And he went, no, it's dangerous. And he said, turbulence is fucking dangerous. And people don't know that.
Yeah, I guess, it's fair enough.
You're talking to someone who's done a loop-de-loop, David. He's not as worried as you.
Is he? I was just...
No, there's levels of it. There's levels of it. I mean, there is... there are clouds that you won't go. You know, like those beautiful, big, fluffy cumulonimbus, they're called. You wouldn't go in them. They'll rip your wings off. Don't go in them. But you know, that's why we'll go around them. But the aeroplane's got this amazing weather radar. You know, the guys at the front are watching. There's one dedicated screen that's just essentially painting. We call it painting. It's, you know, looking out hundreds of miles ahead. And depending on how thick the cloud is, precipitation, hail, all the rest of it, it will come back in a certain color on our screen. And we're like, right, well, let's go around that.
And he's definitely not thinking about chicken breast.
Yeah.
I'd like
We
to go
had
up the
this
front.
one.
I'd like to go up the front and prod him to keep him.
We
away.
had this one in the Reds, actually. We were going from Chicago to New York. We did this big tour of America in 2019, about 3-4 months touring all the cities out there. It was amazing. But Chicago was a huge height. It was the first time we displayed. I think it was 1 million people had turned up to the show. So, you know, as you're kind of turning up into your first loop, first of all, we kind of gone through the skyscrapers of Chicago, which was nuts.
Oh,
and we
my
were displaying on the banks of the lake there. And as you pull up into a loop, so you kind of start a loop at about 350 miles an hour. By the time you get to the loop, you're only back down to about 120 miles an hour. So it's super slow, which actually is quite difficult. But you can have a quick cheeky look up because obviously the ground's now above you. And you could just see, you couldn't see like the beach or anything. It was just color, you know, all these people, all these jackets. It was amazing. It was 1 million people that had come out to watch the show. Anyway, 2 days later, we were kind of still riding, that kind of high of 1 million people just come to the show. I mean, it wasn't just us, by the way. There was a big air show, but it was the first time we had displayed with that many people watching. And we were going from down to New York for a show in New York. And we were going around these massive thunderstorms. And we had to say to air traffic, look, we need to come down now because we need to land, but there's huge storms everywhere. Is there anything in our path? And they've got other ways of working it out. They said, no, you're good, come down. So we came down and there was 6 of us in one formation, 6 in the other. As we came down, the pod in front of us just disappeared in this cloud, right? And basically it's a fog bank. I'm like, oh shit. So, bit of talk on the radios. We all got closer and closer. It was so thick. I was 11 feet from the guy next to me, pretty much disappeared. So I stepped it into about 6 feet, just can see his wingtip. And then all of a sudden, boom, nothing, right? So there's now 12 of us, all probably within about 6 feet individually of each other, and we couldn't see each other. And we're all doing this by eye, right? So we think, this isn't good. So all of a sudden it's like 5's out, 6's out, 7's out. So we all go full power and we kind of break away in these predetermined, angles and heights. But now there's 12 of us in this cloud. We have no idea where each other is. And then the turbulence hit. And one of the guys who was at full power trying to climb, getting pushed down because, these clouds that I'm telling you about, this is where it does get dangerous. It's like the wind that it will lift you up thousands of feet and drop you thousands of feet, in seconds few, which is where the wings can't hack it. That's why you need to avoid it, because then you start structurally damaging the airplane. But where I went, luckily the other chaps didn't have as much to deal with. I started hitting these hailstones at about the size of golf balls, and it just started ripping all the paint off the jet. And started smashing on the windscreen. Luckily it didn't crack it. And then I just popped out of this cloud by myself. I thought, oh shit. I hope the guys, and looked over, and I'll never forget, from about 2,000 to about 30,000 feet, there was just this monster of a cloud that air traffic had unfortunately hadn't seen on the radar or hadn't thought to tell us. And I just saw these little red darts just dropping out everywhere. Luckily everyone was okay. But that's why you don't go into those clouds, because they can start messing with you.
Oh fuck.
What a way to end Chatterbix. Episode 289.
Is it that many episodes for you guys now?
Yeah.
Honestly, I've absolutely loved this.
This has been amazing, Dan. Thank you.
I think you might have overtaken Steve Davis.
Yeah.
Well, at times I thought it was a bit depressing. Sorry.
Oh, it's absolutely gripping. Yeah.
It's an honour to be here.
Oh, I loved it. It's just another world.
Yeah.
It's good fun. It's good fun. And the guys at the moment, they're out in the Middle East. I think I'm looking at the team at the moment. They're down to. We normally fly as a 9. There's a few issues going, so they're down as a 6. But hopefully, 2023, that team will be back as a 9, displaying all around the UK. So, if they're down in your area, go watch them, because I love them to bits. Yeah, that's why it's funny. Sometimes you say you're over it. It doesn't come into your day-to-day life, and then someone like yourself mentioned it, and you kind of go, oh.
Yeah.
You forget that you were part of it. You just think, oh, I love them. I still see them now. And I kind of, if you're driving down the motorway and they're going somewhere, you just see these 9 red jets. And I don't know, there's something inside you that just kind of fills you with pride or excitement, everything. I mean, I love it. So I'm looking forward to seeing them next year. And, if you guys get a chance, go watch them.
100%.
Give them a shout and go see them because they're
Yeah.
good lads. Hopefully they're pretty relaxed, and if you want to go over have a chat with them, do, because they are just good guys doing. They're normal guys just doing a crazy job, and they do it
Can
very
I
well.
say I know Dan? Would they go? Who the fuck?
You could say, I'm still
Lives in
good friends.
Putney. Does that ring a bell? He's got 2 pictures of a red arrow in his office.
Oh, thanks so much for
no,
doing this, Dan.
No, guys, I've loved it. Thank you for having me. And I meant what I said. The reason you sometimes sit there. I got to say, you sometimes sit there going, I can't believe we're putting this out. I love it because even those moments, it's just for those who used to be a part of something big, it's kind of those in jokes again that you don't realize you miss until you hear two gents having a bit of just chat. It's awesome. I
Oh,
love
that's
it.
really kind.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, been amazing.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Dan.
It's lovely to meet you.
Yeah, really lovely to meet you. Thanks again.
See you soon.
Look after
Cheers.
yourself. Bye.